Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Keisha here. I am a life coach and a soul purpose career coach for women, as in I help you figure out exactly why you're here, as in why are you here on earth, what are you called to do, how can you use your unique gifts and talents, share them with the world, and really get paid what you deserve to be making. I want you to do work that you love, that lights you up, that energizes you, and allows you to thrive, not just survive. And today's topic is really important because this is all about the importance of being able to advocate for yourself financially. Something that affects us as women greatly. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you're a woman, you're being paid less than your male counterparts the majority of the time. If we're not friends on Instagram yet, you're gonna wanna head to the Instagram link in my description box and add me as a friend because I just posted about this today. I was recalling an experience where I found out that I was being paid less money than my male counterpart, despite the fact that we were doing the same exact position, we had the same exact years of experience, we had the same level of education, and he was being paid more than me. And I literally found out that he was being paid more than me because he was a male and because males in the mental health profession are less common than women. So they saw him as more valuable simply because he was more rare. Now, I'm gonna get into how I handled that, and believe me, I got my raise, okay? But before I dive into that, I wanna talk about why it's so hard for women to advocate for ourselves in the workplace. This is all tied to social conditioning. So, if you think about it, women had to fight for our rights to be able to work at all, to be able to manage our own finances. And even though we're in the year 2020 now, this is still a very serious problem. Women are not being paid what we deserve to be making. We're being paid less money. So it's normal, I'm not going to say normal, but it's natural for women to experience feelings of discomfort, awkwardness, guilt, shame when time comes to advocate for your salary. I know that I've had many experiences where I was interviewing for a position that I knew that I was qualified for, that I knew that I would do a great job working for them. I smashed the interview out of the park. And then when it came time for me to say how much money I wanted to make, I found myself not saying what I really wanted to say, but instead saying a number that I thought they would be comfortable with. As in, I cared more about their comfort than I cared about my ability to be able to thrive, take care of myself, have enough money to live the kind of life that I wanted to live. So I would always play small when it came to that time. And I'm sure many of you can relate. And I know even when they would make me an offer, right, if it wasn't something that I was happy with, I would feel nervous to give them a counter offer because I would be afraid that if I asked for too much money, that they would change their minds and they wouldn't want to work with me anymore. Has anyone else ever felt that? Probably have. So what's going to be required is not only developing your sense of confidence, your sense of self-worth, but also developing an abundance mentality. Because a scarcity mentality will have you settling for less than you deserve because you're worried that there's not going to be another opportunity out there for you. Well, if this job passes me over, what if I don't find another one? What if there's not another job that I like as much? What if no one is willing to pay me what I want to make, right? That's all scarcity and fear and lack talking. And if you give into that, it will keep you in jobs where you're playing small and making less than you want to make. And what happens is, especially depending on the kind of work that you're doing in this job, you're going to end up becoming resentful. If I'm doing something that requires a high level of skill and requires a lot out of me, right? I'm going to get resentful after a while that I'm not making as much money as I really feel I deserve to be making. In my background of mental health therapy, which I talk about a lot as a therapist, that was my case. I was doing a lot of work. I'm talking about saving people's lives and being paid peanuts for that, right? It just didn't seem fair to me. It didn't add up. But that was just kind of the way it was. That's just kind of what everyone expected. If you get into this field, you're not necessarily going to be making any money. You're expected to do it for the love of the job. Right? Can anyone out there relate to that? Well, I love what I do and I'm helping people, so I shouldn't be making as much money. Nope, that's complete BS. Because if anything, if you're helping other people, you definitely deserve to be making money for that. Not only are you providing a service, but quite often us as women, we're doing a lot of emotional labor. We're taking care of people's emotionally. We're building relationships, which causes even more stress and pressure on us that we're not even paid for, on top of what a male might be doing in the same role, right? So understand your worth, understand what you're bringing to the table, and do not be afraid to walk away or turn something down if it really doesn't feel right for you. And I would recommend even looking at it like a game, right? I know that work is a really important thing and we get really scared, like, well, I need this job, so I can't afford to lose it and all of these things. But negotiation is a common practice. Like, people expect you to negotiate. If you just accept the first offer that you get, a lot of the times people are surprised. And if you're someone who's a high quality candidate, which you are obviously, which is why they're offering you the job, they're expecting you that you're going to make them a counter offer. So don't be afraid to do that. And you know how when you apply to a position, they'll give you like a salary range? They'll say something like, oh, 50,000 to 75,000 or 70,000 to 100,000 or whatever, depending on experience. Go for that higher end of the spectrum. Don't think that you have to like stick close to the lower end of the spectrum because you're scared to ask for too much money. No. Like, if they don't want to pay you that, right, they have the right to say no. And you also have the right to go look for something else if it's not a good fit. But you cannot get something unless you ask for it. So if you never ask and you never make that attempt, you're always going to be getting paid less than you deserve to be making, which isn't fair to you. It's not fair to your family. It's not fair to your quality of life. And you are the one who has to advocate for yourself. No one else is going to do that for you. I know as women, we're so conditioned to be people pleasers and we don't want to rock the boat and make anyone else uncomfortable, but you got to look out for yourself. If you're not looking out for yourself financially, who's going to do it for you? Nobody, right? And again, if you're not making it clear what your needs are, then you can't expect that other people are going to be able to fulfill them. Other people are not mind readers. People don't know what you want. People don't know what you need. You have to tell them that. And that's when you enter into an adult conversation about what that looks like, where again, negotiating for your salary and rates is completely standard. So when I personally found out that I was being paid less than my male counterpart, I was really shocked. And the only reason I found out was because I asked. And I know that that's something that's really taboo. We're not supposed to ask our coworkers, well, how much do you make and how much are you getting paid? And my male coworker was super uncomfortable. He didn't want to tell me what he was making, right? Because we're all conditioned to not talk about money. But if you think about it, why wouldn't we talk about money? Why shouldn't we talk about money? Why is it such a big secret that I can't know what you're making and you can't know what I'm making? A lot of the times it's used as like a method of control. So if no one knows what the other person is making, then our employers can pay us different rates for the same job and we're none the wiser, right? So while it's considered to be socially taboo, I happen to ask. Why? Because I got a nudge. Something told me like, I wonder what he's making. And even though he was uncomfortable to tell me, he eventually did. And guess what? I was right. My intuition was right. He was being paid more than I was. So I had to go to the manager and I had to negotiate for myself and advocate for myself and declare that I wanted a raise. Pointed out all the reasons why I should have one. We're doing the same job. We have the same level of education. We have the same years of experience. There's no reason why he should be making more than me simply because he's a male and males are more rare in my profession. And I ended up getting my raise. But I could have easily backed down and felt too nervous to approach management and never bring it up, right? And you could imagine that I probably would have grown very resentful in that case. So that happens. And if you're in a high level job, a high stress job, don't be afraid to advocate for more money. And because if you are in a position like that, chances are you are very needed, as in they need you oftentimes more than you need them. And the amount of time that it's going to take for them to train somebody new at that skill set and bring them in to replace you, a lot of the time it's cheaper for them to just give you the raise. So don't be afraid to ask. And don't think that you have to wait for a review to ask for the raise, right? You know how we have like 6-month reviews or year reviews? If you feel like what you've been doing in the meantime is enough that to advocate for a raise before your time approaches, don't be afraid to ask. I've done that too. Like, I've brought up the fact that I believed that I needed a raise and I pointed out XYZ, what I had done, how I had gone above and beyond my job role, how I was feeling a need for the company in a way that they probably didn't even realize, and I got my raise. I got my raise. But again, that would not have happened if I didn't take initiative, if I wasn't proactive and I didn't go out and get it. The next part of this is for entrepreneurs and freelancers, or people who are aspiring entrepreneurs and freelancers. For you as well, it's just as important to be comfortable talking about money and advocating for yourself financially. With women, imposter syndrome is extremely common. Imposter syndrome being, well, I feel like a fraud because I don't think I deserve to be in this high level position and I don't think I deserve to be getting paid what I'm making. And it's really quite ridiculous because women who feel like imposters are never actually imposters. The women who typically feel like frauds are women who are qualified to be doing what they're doing. They're not actual frauds. They just don't have that sense of self-worth to believe in themselves, to believe that they have earned the right to be there when they have. And it's normal as you're going through a period of where you're trying to grow your skill set, you're trying to kind of climb the corporate ladder, or you're trying to elevate yourself. It's normal to kind of feel like, oh, am I ready for this? Do I really deserve that? That's a normal part of challenging yourself and pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. So feeling like some measure of an imposter is really normal, and it's a sign that you're pushing yourself to grow. If you were always super comfortable and yeah, I got this and this is no big deal all the time, then that means you're not challenging yourself, right? So feeling like an imposter sometimes makes sense, but do not diminish your hard work. Do not diminish your intelligence. Do not diminish the fact that you have a lot to offer by calling yourself an imposter. So how this shows up in entrepreneurship and freelancing is sometimes we as women are afraid to charge people as much as we want to make. We think that they're going to get mad. We think that they're not going to work with us anymore if we tell them what we really want to be making, what we really deserve to be making, and then we get the short end of the stick. So people are always going to want to pay as little as possible for as best quality of work as they can get. Anybody would. It's not necessarily that they're trying to take advantage of you. Sometimes they're just ignorant to how much work you're actually putting into what they're paying for. They don't know any better. It's up to you to educate them and set those boundaries and let them know, hey, I'm working X amount of hours on this project. I'm contributing this amount of energy to the work that I'm doing with you, and it's gonna cost this much. Again, you set that standard, you set that bar. And if you know that you're backing it up, then you absolutely deserve to be getting paid that. It's kind of like the difference between somebody choosing to go to the drive-through at McDonald's for dinner versus somebody going to like a fine dining restaurant where there are like candles lit and soft music is playing and you're being waited on hand and foot. Between those two, you're gonna expect to pay more for your meal at the fine dining restaurant, right? You're not gonna walk into a 4-star or 5-star restaurant expecting to pay $1 for a hamburger. It's never gonna happen. So you need to treat yourself like a fine dining restaurant. You need to create this sort of ambiance and let people know, hey, when you work with me, you're getting a whole experience. This is not some cheapskate cutting corners kind of thing. If you want this work done and you want it done well, these are my rates and this is what it costs. And sometimes people have to learn the hard way. Again, if they don't want to pay your rates, okay, let them go work with someone who doesn't charge as much and see what they get. Because quality has to match the price. And the last thing you want to do is be stuck in a position where you're working your butt off, you're over delivering, you're pouring all your energy, all your talent, all your skills into something and you're not being paid for it. Again, it's not fair to you, and that's when that resentment starts to build, and that's the quickest way to burn out. It's the quickest way to burn out. So love yourself enough to charge what you want to charge what your services or your products are worth. Love yourself enough to walk away from opportunities that don't value you and don't treat you with the level of respect that you deserve. There are plenty of other fish in the sea, okay? That's not your only opportunity to make money. And sometimes you have to be willing to leave a little bit of money on the table in order to make a lot more money. Because you're gonna find that client, that customer, whatever, that employer who's willing to pay you what you want to be making for the work that you're doing. So if you're currently someone who is in a position where you feel like it's kind of like dead end, you don't see yourself being able to make a lot more money in this position, you have a hard time advocating for yourself in terms of promotions or salary raises or anything like that, reach out to me about one-on-one career coaching, okay? Let's get you a promotion. Let's get you paid for the work that you're doing. And if you're not happy with what you're doing, let's find out what you would love to be doing, what you're really passionate about, and get you into a position where you're doing that and where you're making money for doing what you love. And for some of you, you might be done with being an employee. You don't want to work for anyone else. You're ready to start your own business. Or perhaps you've already started your own business, but you're having a hard time navigating entrepreneurship because let's face it, it's not so easy starting a business. We all dream of like the freedom and the laptop lifestyle and all of that, but once you get into it, there's a lot that's required. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of mindset work, a lot of strategy to build up a successful business. So if you're someone who's interested in online businesses, service-based businesses, and you want to start on your path to developing that for yourself and also setting rates that you're happy with so that you can thrive and live your best life, contact me. Contact me through the link in the description box where I have my application for one-on-one coaching. Depending on where you're at, I have different options available to you, depending on what you are ready to invest at this point in your life and your career in order to get where you want to go. I'm very passionate about this topic and I could talk about it all day, but I'm going to end it right here. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what your experience has been in terms of advocating for yourself and jobs and in terms of charging what you want to charge if you're a freelancer and entrepreneur, and let's talk about it. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.